And like if you look at Europe and even China, the efforts at controlling and even cutting emissions, China has been deploying renewables like crazy. And so it's possible to match the scale of the problem with a response that is significant or that is sufficient to meet the challenge. It's just whether people choose to do it. Absurdity. Because you can see that some countries and some regions have done it. Like you look at Europe and their reductions in carbon emissions, they just choose to do it and it's done. I mean, they're more or less like done their part. In my opinion, they can do more to help others now, like, you know, send their engineers to other parts of the world to install wind turbines and solar panels and whatnot. But you know, that expertise is there. I guess people just have to utilize it. I guess what I'm saying is all we have to do is choose to act. Okay, so that's the bridge. What time is it? I have 18 more minutes. Let's keep going with this trackway. This is kinda cool. And it also now blocks the view of the suspension bridge. So it becomes more of a surprise when you reach it there. That's pretty cool. Alright, great. Let's move on. Absurdity, if you're still there. If you don't mind telling the whole internet, like, which country do you come from again? Absurdity says, Green New Deal is good to see, but I don't see any of the candidates putting it into law outside of Sanders and possibly Warren. Yes, at least a lot of other countries are doing well. Yeah, well, I mean, first they have to get into power and then they can put it into policy. But you know, exactly, Sanders and Warren is what I'm talking about. Absurdity. We are hoping they'll save us. Australia says absurdity. Oh, Australia is also not doing too well. In terms of responding to climate change. What I want to know, absurdity, is why are there not more solar panels in Australia already? It's so sunny and so hot in many parts of Australia. You would think solar panels just make sense. Yeah, but yeah, Australia is also, the government has been slow. And I guess that's partly the coal lobby and the mining lobby, which... I mean, the coal lobby should be weaker now, right? Because China is reducing the amount of coal they're buying. Does the coal lobby still get money? Like, where do they get their money from? Because China's not gonna buy that much more coal anymore. Hey, do you want to move? Do you want to move to New Zealand? Do you want to like move to a country that is more likely to respond better to climate change? Absurdity. It's more like a self-defense. move to a country that's less likely to get you killed. Absurdity says, I have a solar panel actually. I see ads for clean coal. Clean coal. The cleanest coal is the coal that is still in the ground. And the current Prime Minister brought coal into Parliament to prove it isn't scary. They're completely beholden to mining interests. Look up. Yeah, you're right, Absurdity. I am aware that the Australian government is completely beholden to mining interests. Well, maybe you should bring a solar panel into Parliament, Absurdity, and tell them that solar panels are also not scary. And maybe also a wind turbine. If you can like carry a giant ass wind turbine into Parliament and tell them that wind turbines are also not scary, that'd be great. I mean, you'd have to be pretty stupid to bring a lump of coal into Parliament and say it's not scary. Come on, like, do you think we're children? What, you think we're dumb? What kind of shenanigans is that? A lump of coal? Anyway, your politicians think you're stupid, is what that means. Your politicians think you are complete morons. And I would encourage you to prove them wrong. Absurdity says, I also remember when they said wind turbines are offensive to the eye as opposed to mines, I guess, which are very attractive. I mean, no, but, I mean, you can see, I mean, your name says it all. You can see how absurd they are, right? So, like, they don't have an argument. And anyone with half a brain knows they don't have an argument. Yeah, no, Absurdity, maybe you should consider moving to a country that is less likely to get you killed to climate change. I mean, how many more droughts can Australia deal with? Australia is looking at perpetual drought conditions at this rate. Perpetual drought, it never ends. Absurdity says the Conservatives will probably lose this election, but the opposition has already made far too many concessions. I would love to move to Finland or New Zealand if I could. Well, I would suggest making a plan. Maybe we should all make a plan. Maybe every one of us should make a plan what we would do if we become climate refugees ourselves. Absurdity says, good thing we spent 80 million on water rights that don't actually get us any water. That's alright. I mean, water rights in Australia is basically, if it rains, you get water. There's a big if. But you know, I guess what I will point out, like, Australia is very much amenable to solar and wind. And the thing is, Australia is so sparsely populated. I'm not sure if maybe Australians take it for granted sometimes, but you have so much natural resources, even renewable natural resources, compared to your population, that in theory you should be extremely wealthy. In theory. The problem is that a lot of effort is being spent on coal, and not much effort is being spent on renewable wealth, or like renewable prosperity. You have like so much coastline, so much land, so much sun. And yet so much of it is squandered and underutilized. Coal is definitely not the future. Actually, what's happening, Absurdity? Because China cut back on the amount of coal they're buying. What on earth is happening with the coal industry now? Are they still making money? They probably are. Because the rest of the world is gonna stop burning coal. I don't know if the coal miners in Australia have received the news yet. We're gonna get another bridge. This bridge is gonna be a little awkward because that's right there. Absurdity says, yes, there are signs of desperation. I think it's mainly India they're turning towards. Yeah, well, India's gonna go down the same path of cutting coal. It might take them a few more years to do so. I don't know. Good, good. That is great news that they are desperate, Absurdity. I love that news. I love the sound of coal industry panicking in the morning. Let them eat wind turbines. Do I do this? I'm not sure if I do that. That's kind of what it's supposed to be. But I'm gonna stop there because the bridge starts there. Alright, other side. I mean, it is remarkable to me that the people who, you know, like the fossil fuel companies, they make so much money and they have so much resources. But instead of using that to innovate and become leaders in next generation technologies or next generation energy like renewables or even hydrogen, because a lot of the, for example, fossil fuel technologies is kind of similar to hydrogen. Like hydrogen is like a fluid, oil is a fluid, or like natural gas, and like hydrogen can be a gas. And so your engineers don't need too much retraining to, like, you know, to do hydrogen, for example. And you think that, you know, they know the science. I mean, if they're scientists, should know that climate change is going to be a thing. And if humanity has any sense, we would transition away from fossil fuels. So instead of using their advantage, their current advantage with the amount of money they have and their resources they have, to become leaders in next generation energy, they just use their resources to do nothing. I don't... Why? I mean, you're already ahead. Why don't you invest in the technologies and do the research that will allow you to stay ahead of the competition? Instead, they do nothing. And then, like upstarts, like Chinese solar panel companies, they move into the new markets. And now, like America, for example, is behind in solar panel manufacturing. They don't have nearly as much solar panel manufacturing capacity as China. And China's just gonna get all the customers when people start buying solar panels. They just give up their lead. They just give up their advantage. And I don't understand why. And even like coal miners and oil drillers, you can, I don't know, look into carbon capture and storage. You're already in the underground business. Why don't you like all the oil drillers can look into converting all their old oil fields into carbon sinks and carbon storage, and then start selling that stuff to the Europeans who are looking to buy carbon credits. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you have the right mindset, everything is a money-making opportunity. The money-making opportunity is not just burning fossil fuels. Like, everything is a money-making opportunity. And you just have to do it. And if you already have money and power, then you already have a head start. And you should not squander that head start and let someone else take the lead. Hey, what do I know, am I right? Absurdity says, threatened industries will always see a better cost-benefit short-term. But it's so short-term is what I mean, Absurdity. Yeah, you're right. There's a much greater short-term benefit in doing nothing and trying to stop others from acting. But man, how short-sighted do you have to be to do that? I mean, climate change is not even 20 years away or 50 years away now. It's like 10 years away. These executives, it's no longer the case that, oh, I guess my grandchildren would deal with that problem. No, it's you. If you're still 40 years old, you'll be 50 when climate change hits you really hard. You'll still be alive. You can't be that short-sighted, right? Absurdity? Anyway, I need to end the video and end the stream here. Alright, I guess with that, I'm going to end the video. See you in the next one where we continue building this trackway.